Thank you. What a pleasure to be here in this incredibly good organization, Human Rights Media, which is going to be doing so much good. I'm so impressed with the previous speakers, and I know I'll be impressed with those that follow. So I've been a religious studies professor for over 50 years, and my passion has been to give people literacy, to understand what religions actually say, because without that, prejudice grows. And the previous speakers have really illustrated that. And with misunderstanding comes fear. With fear comes prejudice and often physical violence. So the work is important. And it's been kind of my passion for life. So I just want to look at a few little areas where it's possible for religious stereotyping and misunderstanding to take place about things that are just not true. For example, Catholic devotion to the Virgin Mary, to Mother Mary. A lot of, not a lot, but a certain number of individuals, other Christians, particularly conservative Christians, evangelical Christians in particular, feel that Catholics worship Mary as though she were a god. That is just not true. It is true that Catholic devotion to Mary is uniquely emphasized, more so than in the Protestant world. That same emphasis is very strong, by the way, also in the Eastern Orthodox world of Christianity. And with that comes the notion that Catholics have kind of this odd worship of a non, not Jesus, not the Trinity, but of Mary, sometimes called Mariology, but that's not true. Mary is the premier saint, Jesus' mother, has a very special role. She's also been important in Catholic thought in terms of apparitions, where Catholics believe Mary has appeared in Guadalupe, of course, Juan Diego, which was something that helped to form the very country of Mexico. Also Lourdes in France, which has been a pilgrimage center where miracles sometimes have been known to happen. Very few have been medically documented, but so yes, Mary is very important to Catholic worship, more so than Protestant worship, but it's not worship of Mary. So we need to be clear about that, just as one example. Secondly, although the Muslim world is one, Islam is one, but just like the Christian world, there are differences. In fact, up until about 50 or 60 years ago, the Protestant and Catholic worlds in this country and certainly in Europe too were very divided. As you know, the Reformation spawned a great deal of religious freedom and enlightenment, but also religious wars, which is one of the reasons why various groups came to America. But the fact is that just like Catholics and Protestants having differences, which have been healed to a good extent now after the Second Vatican Council in the 1960s, when Catholics and Protestants came closer together and really began to understand each other better. Nonetheless, there are still differences. The healing has happened. I would like to say that the Sunni and Shia Muslim worlds also have very real differences. For example, Iran is predominantly Shia, and Saudi Arabia and most of the other Arab states are Sunni Muslims. Now, Sunnis are by far the largest number of Muslims in the world, probably at least 85%. But if you realize that the political tensions between Saudi Arabia and Iran, which are very, very sharp right now, have some link to theological differences. We're not going to go into those, that's not my point right now, but just to understand that is important. It's also true that at the time that the United States invaded Iraq, there was a great deal of utter lack of understanding of the differences between the various kinds of Muslims and even what Muslim faith was all about. Our State Department was not very literate when it came to truly understanding Islam. The fact is that actually Iraq is largely Shia as well, even though it was ruled by Saddam Hussein the dictator for a long time, who was a Sunni Muslim. But just the lack of sophistication, even in our State Department, caused some misunderstanding. And as I said today, it's important to appreciate that amongst the many reasons why Saudi Arabia and Iran are at loggerheads is the fact that they come from a different kind of Muslim background. So that needs to be better understood, it seems to me. Another tragic misunderstanding is this business of female genital cutting, clitoridectomy, which is often said to be something that is enjoined by Islam. It is not. As a matter of fact, many Muslim preachers, individuals, imams have spoken out against this process. It is a cultural phenomenon that exists in places like Egypt and other Middle Eastern countries. It is a custom that is not Islamic, even though it exists in Islamic countries. And it tended to cause a lot of stereotypes. Muslims are the kind of brutal people that actually condone a practice which is so ugly. And there have been tragic incidents of an Egyptian family spiriting their daughter back to Egypt, to Cairo, for example, to have this procedure done. But it is not Islamic. And as I said, many Muslim leaders are trying to eradicate the practice because it simply is not a Muslim practice. And it's, of course, a very tragic practice. But if you don't understand that, without knowing that, it's very possible to say, okay, look at the Muslims. One more thing, which makes me feel uncomfortable with Muslims and their presence in the country. And it goes back, of course, to the tragic fact of Muslims from a number of countries when the Trump administration began came into power, forbidding Muslims from many countries coming in on the pretext that they would cause terrorism, which was very unfortunate. Mormon polygamy. Yes, up until the 1880s, 1886, I believe, Mormons did practice polygamy. But the United States government said to Utah, where almost all the all the Mormons were then living, you have to either stop the practice or you can't be admitted to the Union. Well, the Mormon leadership prayed and thought and had a new revelation, and polygamy ended. Now, it is true there are rogue Muslims in this country who do still practice polygamy. And there was a reality TV show about this, which, of course, tends to skew everything. But in point of fact, Muslims are monogamous. And I'm sorry, Muslims are not, most Muslims are monogamous. Polygamy is permitted in Islam. Mormons are monogamous. And much has been misunderstanding, though, of them because of this, moniker that they're polygamous, and they are not. Finally, just very briefly, it's often said that Jews are tight-fisted, and there's some terrible expressions like trying to Jew someone down. The fact is that in America, Jews are the most philanthropic group in the country. Their level of philanthropy is above every other ethnic or religious group, and so they have been, given a very bad rap in this respect. When in point of fact, they are the most philanthropic of American groups, and 75% of their philanthropy is to non-Jewish groups. So there again, just understanding these elements is important, and that's why the study of religion, religious studies courses, sociology of religion are so important to enlighten people about what's really going on. And once you know what's really going on, it makes it possible to eradicate a lot of prejudice, a lot of stereotypes. In other words, education is golden. Education is key. I would like it if every university student in the country took a course in religious studies to get this kind of information. It's not happening right now, but it is true that religious studies courses or comparative religion courses are still very popular and becoming even more popular. So anyway, once again, congratulations to this really amazing new organization. And I'm so impressed to be in the company of these other really wonderful speakers. So shalom. Thank you very much for the time.